Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. It is fantastic that you are here. Well, I trust you enjoyed my last video on the Carpenters, and certainly through the story of Karen Carpenter, uh, we were challenged to look at the fact that sometimes if we do need help, particularly in our mental health, it's not a sign of weakness, it's not a failure. Sometimes we need to bring that stuff into the light where we can be helped. So I trust you found that an encouragement. Well, we go from there to a lass who was born in 1983 in Oklahoma. She's very much from a rural community and so very much a country girl at heart. She came to prominence in 2005 when she won that season of American Idol. And the girl we're talking about today is Carrie Underwood. Now, as I shared a little while ago with an Australian Idol runner-up, Anthony Kalia, both him and Carrie Underwood today, this is the reason these shows exist, because sometimes there needs to be these kind of platforms to actually get someone's career up and running. And certainly for Carrie Underwood, she's had a very successful career since American Idol. Between 2005 and 2020, she has released 7 albums. And there's a rumour of an album in 2021. So that's 8 albums. And amongst that, there's been 29 singles. And she's released a number of music videos. Because one of the things that Carrie Underwood is known for, she's a storyteller. In fact, one of her albums is actually called Storyteller, and she captivates audiences with the stories about all sorts of interesting things. Perhaps going into the side of life can be a bit hard and a bit tricky for some people. She sold 70 million albums, and so she's a very, very successful artist indeed, pretty much all around the world. She's been nominated 312 times for various awards and has won 178 of those nominations. She is very well regarded in the music industry, particularly in the country music area, Academy of Country Music, American Country Awards. Of course, country music is massive in the US. BMI Country Award, British country music. She's also an American Music Award winner, Billboard Music. She's won awards in Europe and France. She's a Dove Award winner. She has a Hollywood star on the Hollywood Star Walk of Fame, and she also was inducted into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, and she's a 6-time Grammy Award winner, just to name a few of the awards that she's actually received. Now, Carrie Underwood is just an all-good, all-round performer. She is stunningly beautiful, and of course that helps when you are performing on stage. That kind of captivates your audience, but she has an incredible music singing voice. There's a lot of power there. There's a lot of grunt and grit there when it needs to, but there is also tenderness there. And of course you need all of that voice to be able to tell stories, which she does really, really well. Now, there's one story in particular of hers that I wanted to talk about today, and this is this song, Temporary Home. Now, Temporary Home came off the Play On album from 2009. Now, temporary home is an interesting concept. We think about home. Now, I've talked about home a few times before. Home is a place where we grew up. Home is the place where often we discover who we are as human beings, and it's a starting point for where we're going to go in this world. For Carrie Underwood, I suppose home was rural Oklahoma, and that very much gave her her values and gave her her reason for living. Carrie Underwood is a practicing Christian, and she doesn't hide away from that fact at all. In fact, many of her songs actually talk about her faith, and people have just seemed to have really responded to her honesty through her songs. So this concept of home, temporary home, well, I suppose this concept looks at not just our home as in, where we grew up. It's looking at planet Earth and looking about the fact that this is where we spend our physical days. In a sense, this is the place where we will live our physical lives. Now, it's quite interesting about what people think about the hereafter, whether there is a hereafter or whatever there is. The fact that most people think, certainly who I've spoken to anyway, you might have a different view, that's okay, that the essence of who we are carries on in some form or another. Of course, no, where that some form or another actually happens to be will differ from one person to the next. But I suppose the challenge today is just to consider whether you think this is it, or whether you think there is more to life after the physical life has gone. Carrie Underwood certainly believes that. As I said, she's a practicing Christian. And she talks about the concept of the fact that life is a journey. We don't really ever know what's going to happen from one day to the next. We kind of hope that life's going to continue on, and we're just going to keep doing what we keep on doing. And in most cases, that will probably be the case. But things that certainly come along and will challenge us and will rock our world a bit. I only found out recently there was a guy who I'm quite fond of as a friend. He had a stroke, and that was just totally unexpected, and we start to realise how fragile life can be at times. And I'm sure many of us have experienced that news, and we do wonder what is the meaning of it all sometimes. Well, in Temporary Home, we have the story of a young boy who's been through foster home after foster home after foster home, and he cites the hope that he has that this is not all there is, that one day he will move into a different place and he will find his real home. That knowledge gives him hope. That knowledge gives him a reason for living, despite the adversity that he's going through. There's another character in the story, an older guy, and he's on his deathbed and very conscious of the fact that he's thinking this isn't it either. This is my temporary home. So I think the challenge for all of us today is just to consider this concept of faith again. Faith has been one of those things that has come out a bit of late. I tend to follow a particular order with my artists. I don't sort of handpick them, but it's quite funny how sometimes the themes of these videos tend to follow a bit of a pattern. Now, we have looked at faith a little bit of late, and the fact that we all have faith in something. It will vary from one person to another. It's in a sense our guiding light. It's a thing that when we talk out to the universe or wherever it is, it's what we have our faith in, and it's where we put our hope and our trust often. And I suppose this concept of temporary home, it means that we're acknowledging that the faith part of our life journey is equally as important as our physical part of our life journey. And we can kind of put our trust in life a bit differently because it gives our lives hope and it gives our lives meaning. So for you, whatever you put your hope and you put your trust and you put your faith in, I'll leave that one totally up to you. But as long as you think about this stuff, because the health profession are pretty well acknowledged now that there is a spiritual side to us, it's the thing that makes us tick as human beings. And this concept of temporary home perhaps certainly fits into that today. I trust you'll find that encouraging. We do get onto some interesting stuff in these videos, and all I'm really wanting to do is to encourage you in all aspects of our life journey, which does include the spiritual aspects, I'm thinking. Well, on to the clips, and we've got 3 songs from Carrie Underwood. And as I've shared, you'll see, yes, she does have the look about her. She's stunningly beautiful, but she also has an incredible voice, and she sings her songs with such conviction, making her very much a compelling artist, all-round artist. So there are three songs from her, and the links to each of these songs are in the description below. So feel free to click on any of them, on all of them. We've got Blown Away, which came off her 2012 album of the same name. This is a live performance of Carrie Underwood, so you'll see what I mean by how compelling she is as an artist. We've got another song, Something in the Water, as well. This is a live version. This came out in 2014, and yeah, another really good song about transformation of life, transformational moments of life. And then we have to have Temporary Home. This came off the 2009 album Play On. This is the official clip, and this clip in particular tells the story of these characters really well. Please please just stay through it and experience what is the beauty of this story, of these stories in this song, and to be encouraged by them. Carrie kind of puts herself in a bit of a, I suppose, almost an angel character in this story. I think what she's trying to do is she's trying to be the narrator of these stories and to be a bit of an observer of what's going on. So she is a storyteller, so stories need narration from time to time. So, as I said, those the links to those three songs are in the descriptions below, so I encourage you to look at those. And by the way, I've also included my last video from the Carpenters, so if you want to recap on that one, feel free. Well, if you've come back for another video, thank you very much for doing so. If this is your first time to Life Reflections Through Music, fantastic that you've come, and thank you very much for being here, and I trust that you have been encouraged in your own journey today. And if you have hung around to the end when we've looked at this concept of temporary home, I thank you very much, and I hope it's been an encouragement for you. Well, that's it for today. Next time we're going to go on to the cars. So until then, I'll catch you around.